Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. This Premier League season just gets better and better. What a weekend. Manchester City losing to Spurs. Man City in crisis. Everybody's in a bloody crisis. Certainly Liverpool and Man City are in very different ways. But what we saw in the game today is that if you shut Erling Haaland down, you shut Manchester City down. And this is now a big problem for Pep Guardiola because I think Manchester City have almost become something I never thought they would be. One-dimensional, the most, multi-layered manager in world football who can play his goalkeeper as a number 10. He doesn't do that, but you know what I mean. If he's so methodical, the way when Pep gets it right, football is, it's like a master's degree. It's, you've got Sam Allardyce saying boot it long and win the second ball. You've got Pep Guardiola who's probably telling his player what to do in every single minute of the game. So methodical, and yet his team has become so predictable. A couple of weeks ago in the Manchester derby, Manchester United shut Erling Haaland down. Man City struggled to create chances, and we won the game. Spurs today shut Erling Haaland down, and Man City struggled to create many chances. It's now the blueprint, pardon the pun, to beat Manchester City. If you shut Erling Haaland down, then you shut them down. And I'm going to say what I said in the watch-along. Manchester City, if they kept Jesus and didn't buy Haaland, they would be winning this league title. I think that Man City's problem is actually their biggest asset. Erling Haaland's first season in the Premier League is a rip-roaring success, but it's a personal success. He will win the Golden Boot comfortably, and he may even win Player of the Year. But Man City don't look like they're going to win the league because Man City are built around Erling Haaland. It's almost like it's a bit like Michael Jackson, when he was in the Jackson 5, he's the star. And then he goes off and has his career elsewhere. Man City used to be like the Beatles, just spread it across the whole, fantastic. They've got a lead singer now, and it makes them very one-dimensional. He never gets subbed. He always plays. That means there's no fluidity in that front three anymore. There's no interchangeability. There's no unpredictability. Erling Haaland might go and score a hat-trick next week for Spurs against, not for Spurs, for Man City, because he's that good. But if he doesn't do it every week and you shut him down, you'll drop points. I don't know whether people can get their head around that, but for me it's very, very clear that Man City have become one-dimensional and they have got a world-class striker. But it's almost Erling Haaland's the problem because people will go, well, how can he be a problem when he's scored so many goals? Well, he is a problem. He is a problem. And it's a problem that Man City have inflicted on themselves. And I would question why. It was always going to be transitional, but their season is going bad by their high expectations because of the Erling Haaland recruitment. He is world class, there's no doubt about that. But you can have a player that is world class that can be a problem. Now, many people said that Cristiano Ronaldo last season, when he did score a lot of goals and he was our Player of the Year, made us a bit one-dimensional because he always had to play. And you can see that in a very different way that's the problem that Man City have got, because normally you don't know who was going to play at number 9. It might be Jesus, it might be Sterling, they might play with a false 9. You never knew what their front three was going to be, and it made them really hard because it was all about the system. It was all about the system. It was all about interchangeability, keeping the ball on the ground, movement, runners. That's what Man City were always about. They're not like that anymore because they can't play like that. Everyone knew they wouldn't be able to play like that with Erling Haaland. You can't play little intricate tiki-taka football, moving. Haaland can't go to the left wing and let someone take his spot for 20 minutes. You can't do that. It's one-dimensional because Erling Haaland is a striker and he has to play at number 9. And, they've had to change the way they're playing. The thing is, they could still win the league. I'm not ruling them out of the league, but they do look lost. As it says, Man City at the moment, they look lost. On top of that, they went into the January window stronger than they came out. Cancelo, whatever you think about that scenario, they're weaker without him. They just don't. Man City this year don't seem to have the identity that they've had for the last few years. They don't look like a team that can go and win 10, 15 games in a row because they don't look like they're playing well enough to do that. They're capable of winning their next game 4 or 5-0. They're capable of beating Arsenal in that big game a week on Wednesday. But you always feel there'll be another Spurs at some point. There'll be another United at some point. A lot of games this season, they find themselves behind at half-time as well. Newcastle, they were 2-0 down at half-time away. They ended up with a draw. Palace at home, they were 2-0 down at home. They ended up winning. Spurs at home, I think they were 2-0 down. They ended up winning a couple of weeks ago. So even when you take into account all the games that Man City have lost, there's been other games where they've had to work hard to get back and get the points. It's just not right. There's something not right about Man City at the moment. And it's unfair to level that all at Erling Haaland. And it's also mature to acknowledge the fact that if Liverpool are going through transition and Chelsea are going through transition and Man United are going through transition, then why can't Man City be going through transition? You know, there's many reasons for that. And you know, maybe Pep will find the solution to the Erling Haaland issue, if you would call it an issue, but they've got to find a way. I mean, to be honest with you, if I can be completely blunt, and I don't care if City are losing games, I enjoy it as a Man United fan, but as a football fan, to me, in that type of a game, Erling Haaland needed to come off with 20 minutes to go. And people will say, well, why would you take him off? He's a goal scorer. Because if you take him off and you go like you play last season and you play maybe Bernardo Silva as a false nine, then suddenly Spurs have got 3 centre-backs and they don't really know who they're picking up. And you just change the way you're playing because it wasn't working. But you never see that. He won't take Haaland off. Somebody said it in the watch-along, a bit of a, tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. Was Erling Haaland forced upon Pep Guardiola? Because Pep Guardiola is a far more intelligent football man than I am and you are. But when they bought him, I was like, there's no way he'll flop. He'll definitely score loads of goals. I picked him for the Golden Boot and he'll win the Golden Boot. But I did think it left City vulnerable because I couldn't see how Man City were going to play like they have done for the last few years with Erling Haaland. I could see this was going to happen. You spend that money on a player of that quality, he's got to play. He can't drift to the right, he can't drift to the left, he can't play as a 10. He's always going to have to be your number 9. And you don't play with the front two. So he's always going to play. He's never going to be an intricate footballer who, can play little tiki-taka passes, this, that and the other. And I was like, it's just a bit odd. I thought, that... But then again, he did want Ronaldo the year before. So they've been... I think Pep's wanted Harry Kane as well. But Harry Kane probably is more... Pep's wanted a number 9, but you could sort of see the issues there, couldn't you? It's like Calvin Phillips. What was that all about? I don't get that either. Calvin Phillips, just clearly isn't a player that Pep wants to pick. And why would he? He's got better players. But yeah, I think Ten Hag said it. Era's come to an end. Liverpool's era is coming to an end. Man City's era is coming to an end, or it looks like it is. Compared to where Liverpool were last year and where Man City were last year, they're nowhere near. So those eras could be coming to an end because if you look at the Liverpool team and you look at the Man City team, a lot of their good players, they're sort of eroding, aren't they? A lot of them are early 30s, late 20s. Maybe they've had better, the team is just not where it was. That doesn't mean it's the end of the road for Liverpool and Man City or Klopp and Pep, by the way. They've both got long-term contracts. But I think both teams need major work in the summer. 2 or 3 top players coming in for them to be able to go again. But this season, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for them. And, I'm sure Man City are focused on the Champions League, but the way they're playing at the moment, the worrying thing for Man City is that we've seen Spurs and now Manchester United shut Haaland down. And City have struggled. And they won't sub him off. City would be a better team if when Haaland has a game like that, Pep just goes, after half an hour to go, I'm taking you off, we need to win the game. It's more important to win the game than it is to try and get you the goal. But they won't do that. So City need to find a way that they can change things up and take Haaland off or change things up and keep him on. And at the moment, they're struggling. And I would say that a lot of teams, Arsenal, a week on Wednesday at the Emirates, Saliba and Gabriel, if you can shut Haaland down, we'll get a result. And, there'll be other teams that look at it like that as well. But look, Man City in crisis, certainly, because of their high levels, but they're still in a title race, of course. But they're not the team they were last season by a long way. Anyway, get your comments in, smash a like on the video and subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner to do that. And I'll speak to you on the next one. Interested to read your comments as well.